About 21 minutes into The Empire Strikes Back, top galactic badass Darth Vader has determined the Hoth system is the long sought-after location of the Rebel base. What follows is another 20 minutes worth of continuous thrill ride. While the snowbound battle on Hoth is deservedly iconic, the truly pivotal action sequence is the asteroid field chase. Not because the effects are better or space is better than snow. Instead, the sequence sets the stakes for nothing less than the entire rebellion. So, it's time to look at action and character in the asteroid field chase from The Empire Strikes Back. Depending on how you feel about lightspeed and hyperspace and how long it takes troops to get dressed and gather in a hangar, this entire stretch of film is essentially in real time. At least, the point is, we the viewer are meant to experience it all as happening in the moment. The base has been found, the Empire is on its way, and the good guys need to get out.
Good luck.
By the time we arrive at the asteroid field, the rebels have really been through it. We've seen troops mowed down by AT-ATs and pilots going out in a blaze of blood and fire. Luke Skywalker himself has been shot down, and they even blew up Dak, who felt like he could take on the whole Empire himself. With subterranean stronghold crumbling around them and Imperial troops having entered the base, Han, Leia, Chewie, and C-3PO board the Millennium Falcon and get the hell out of Dodge. So far, it's an entire sequence saying we're in constant danger, loudly and clearly in a way that escalates from scene to scene. But in the build-up towards the asteroid chase, the action has also established something about the rebellion. While they're hopelessly outmanned and outgunned, the heroes of the rebellion are crafty and ingenious.
2 fighters against a Star Destroyer?
Let's just toss a few shots from the ion cannon up there first.
That armor's too strong for blasters.
How about harpoons and tow cables? That ought to work. While the rebellion is clearly taking a hit, we see they're more than capable of hitting back. They're a scrappy bunch of capable heroes surviving by the skin of their teeth. With that in mind, we see Han and Chewie pilot the Falcon out of the hangar, and we briefly check back in with Luke, who is downright casual about his own exit from the Hoth system. Luke enjoys a peaceful, dare we say lighthearted moment with R2-D2 as he punches in a route to Dagobah, Yoda, and ultimately his fate. But then we get this cut. A clean and empty starfield for Luke and just a spiral wipe away from a frame dominated by a Star Destroyer chasing our heroes in the comparatively tiny Millennium Falcon. It's here, with their circumstances clearly defined, that the film's truly pivotal sequence begins.
Oh, what?
Star Destroyer's coming right at us.
Sir.
Speeding away from the Star Destroyers, we see Han outmaneuver a fleet of Imperial ships. The Falcon spins and dives through space, clearly more agile than the TIE fighters chasing it, and literally making the clumsy, gigantic Star Destroyers collide in their pursuit.
Take evasive action.
But strains of John Williams' foreboding Imperial March remind us that the ball is still very much in the Empire's court, no matter how many loop-de-loops the Falcon can pull off. Problems continue to present themselves faster than Han is able to fix them as the first asteroid hits the Falcon while Han is trying to repair the hyperdrive, a microcosm of the rebellion's predicament thus far in the movie. As they enter the asteroid field, everybody knows it's a bad idea, and the film shows us how dangerous it actually is, with several consecutive shots of TIE fighters exploding against asteroids juxtaposed with Falcon deftly, recklessly, and cavalierly maneuvering through the field. And the soundtrack has shifted to mirror that feeling. Let's just call it the Han Solo vibe. Williams' orchestra sounds lively, daring, and even dangerous now. But strangely enough, the most telling dynamic in this entire sequence is between Han and C-3PO. On the surface level, 3PO is comic relief and kind of a nuisance. Look at him literally falling into Chewie while he's trying to fly the ship. He's the butt of the jokes and an easy punching bag for Han's frustrations over the situation.
Stop!
Typical. Come on.
But old Goldenrod is also the realist of the group, even if, yes, he's also something of an alarmist. Every bit of statistically devastating news he delivers to Han is factually correct and makes a lot of sense. And yet Han is still there to tell him to shut up, most famously by saying,
Never tell me the odds.
But Han also knows there's a limit to what he can pull off. With things looking dire and 3PO, who, remember, is a literal robot, screaming in fear at this point, Han quips that Leia wanted to be around when he made a mistake, and this might be it. Surely trusting his own instincts while stubbornly brushing off cold hard facts won't come back to bite him, right? Lando. Even Leia and Chewie are starting to question Han's whole fly into an asteroid field instead of away from an asteroid field plan when he announces that he's going in closer to one of the big ones. They, along with Threepio, reply incredulously.
Closer.
And yes, we added those Chewie subtitles ourselves, but you gotta know that he was also saying, closer? As we near the end of the asteroid chase, the action is staged through a narrow crevice that only Han and the Falcon are uniquely qualified to navigate, leaving the final two TIE fighters in an explosive pile of space rubble. And here, Han proves that he has as much grace as he does shoot-from-the-hip bravado, swooping the Falcon balletically into an asteroid to end the scene. Hiding in a cave and safe, for now, our protagonists have in fact shifted their roles into more than just members of a rebellion. They're now stand-ins for the entire rebellion itself. Let's go back to the quick scene of Luke happily leaving Hoth. He's off on his own adventure, even keeping it on manual control for a while. He's in charge of his journey and is no longer intrinsically tied to the fate of the rebellion. Maybe the rebellion totally depends on him in the long run, but this sequence of events makes it clear that he's got some Luke things to sort out, while Han and the crew on the Falcon have to keep the rebellion alive in the meantime. They're still in the midst of the real-time 20-minute sequence that started when Vader gave Admiral Ozzel what for in front of all his friends. And so, through the asteroid field sequence, everything that was attributed to the rebellion on Hoth, being outgunned, surviving on ingenuity, defying the odds, has now been transferred to the crew of the Falcon. The fate of the entire rebellion is now represented through the fate of these four characters, which, by the way, is pretty goddamn brilliant. There's no planet-destroying weapon in The Empire Strikes Back, no tangible threat to wipe out the rebellion in one swift stroke. And it was always a gutsy choice to front-load the film with the biggest set piece in the movie. The Battle of Hoth is the type of sequence usually reserved for a film's climactic final act. Coming on the heels of the wild success of the first film, which was narratively a pretty huge win for the rebellion, to open the sequel with 40 minutes of the good guys getting knocked around was at minimum a bold choice. But by using the action on Hoth to set up the action in the asteroid field, The Empire Strikes Back successfully transposed the stakes of the entire rebellion onto the personal stakes for Han, Leia, Chewie, and Threepio, making The Empire Strikes Back a more intimate epic and cementing the legacy for these characters for generations. They're no longer just cool characters fighting with the rebellion, they are the rebellion. And of course, subscribe to IGN wherever you like to watch.